it's Carmen here. I am your host of the Myo Minute, and I'm super happy that you're here. I am a myofunctional therapist. I have a large online global practice, so I bring this important therapy to people all over the world. But more importantly, I am your educator extraordinaire. I spend hundreds of hours every year educating, working with my community, and helping provide value and resources to my community so that you can continue to learn. In this episode today, I'm going to be talking about why it's important for a reformed thumb sucker, finger sucker, anybody who has had a toxic oral habit, why it's really important for them to pursue myofunctional therapy, even if they have gotten rid of that habit. So first, let me say this. High five to you for kicking the habit. It's super important, and I have had clients as old as 30 that are still having those kind of habits. Although they're not as open about it, they definitely are there. So first thing I wanted to say is hugs and high fives for kicking that habit. The next thing I want to say, even though that habit may not be there anymore, the muscle memory still is. So even though that thumb has been removed from the mouth, the compensation that was learned, so that learned habit of an altered swallow, so remember that's called a tongue thrust, that still happens. The same thing happens a lot when I have clients who say they were mouth breathers, and so they developed that habit and then they got their tonsils taken out. They continue to be mouth breathers because they don't change what they were doing. So the same really applies to somebody who has had an oral habit, that muscle memory, the body still just remembers how they do it. So that's why it's important to go through myofunctional therapy so that we can rewrite that hard drive, if you will, and rehabituate new positive function and habits. So what are those toxic oral habits? Gosh, it can be thumb sucking, finger sucking, any parafunctional habit, nail biting, chewing on a shirt. I had a client once who liked to chew on rocks, believe it or not. It can be sippy cups, pacifiers, anything that goes in the mouth and alters what you should correctly be doing is something that I call a toxic oral habit. All right, guys. The biggest caveat here is this habit needs to be taken care of before starting therapy. So I know I started this episode out by saying congratulations that you don't have that habit, but if anybody's watching this and they do, that would be my first line of attack if I'm working with somebody, is getting that habit out of the way so that we can go ahead and get started. Because it totally does not make any sense for me to start teaching you or your child correct oral resting posture if they've got something in the mouth. Okay, that just isn't going to work. So totally impossible. So that is a hurdle. I call that a pre-procedure hurdle. If we have to get that taken care of before we can really get started on the meat and potatoes of what I do when I work with a myofunctional therapy client. Okay, so there you have it. If your child or you are reformed thumb suckers, finger suckers, any of those toxic oral habits, I encourage you to consider the myofunctional impairment that could still remain. So you can download my self-assessment. That is really a great place to start because it gives you some of the most important questions that we will talk about during a comprehensive exam, and you can see where some of your compensations come from. So you can go ahead and download that and make sure you have the resources where you're watching this video. And I will see you in the next episode of the Myo Minute. Bye for now.